Okay, let's do this. I don't know how to pin a comment. Aw, hi Sonia. Okay, hey guys. Let's see here. I need to figure out how to pin a comment. Fuck. I think that's it. Hi guys. No, I don't know how to work this thing. Okay. I'm going I'm going live with one of my good friends who released a poetry book. Oh, okay, he just waved at me. Yay! I'm like, I don't want to be alone on this live. Okay. Sorry, is this taking a minute? I have to like. Oh,
hello.
Thank God. I was like, I broke it and I didn't even start it.
What's up? I know that pinning thing is hard, isn't it?
I didn't do it, did I? I need to find it again.
No. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I was having a hard time figuring it out as well. So.
I fucking did it. Okay, cool. Hi. Sorry. You have been on a roll with lives. Like every time I log on, you're on a live. I'm like, you go, dude.
Oh my God. I want to make sure that I'm getting. Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. Let me try if I move you in here.
Cool.
Let me see if this is any better.
It might be mine.
Oh, it might be yours?
Yeah. We'll just keep. I'll move into the house. I'm like literally up against the.
Let's see. Is that better?
Yeah, I think that's better. I mean, you tell me if it starts to break out, I'll move inside. So
I think it's
not
quite. I'm having a hard time seeing you. Yeah.
Hold on. Is it? Hold on. I'll go inside. 1 sec.
Okay.
They're doing a class right now.
Oh, got it.
I was like, oh crap. Okay. Is this better? Please tell me it's better. No?
It's halfway better.
Ah, shit.
Let's see if you're pausing. It's all good. You know, people don't even care about anything being perfect anymore. That's one thing that happened with all of this is no one gives a shit about anything being perfect. They just want authenticity.
I know. Like the more, yeah, I hate that. Like I was even telling Allie, I was like, who the fuck cares if it breaks up? Just like laugh, like whatever. Like, I don't know. It's weird that we still like try to not be human. But anyway,
yeah, no.
Okay, guys. Me and Adam were here because his poetry book came out. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, it was yesterday. Yeah. It's right here.
I have it up too.
Inquire Within. Yeah, what's up? What's up? Twinning.
I was like, Allie, where's the book? And I was like running around the house trying to find it.
You're so cool. Yo, man, you are not that I just want to say this. You're really winning the quarantine. Dude. You have made incredible decisions because the birds are so loud where you are. People spend all this money, you know, to go to sound baths, and
I
really
know.
just those birds are reconfiguring your cellular structure with their song.
Yeah, it's like a whole nother, when I meditate here, like, I don't have to meditate as long here. I literally just sit in silence for 5 minutes and listen to just like literally this nature is insane. It's nothing. I, I'm like, oh, I don't have to sit for a fucking hour here. It's just so natural to be more silent here because everything is more silent here. So yeah, I know everyone's asking me, they're like, are you safe? How are you doing? And I was like, I'm thriving. And I feel a little guilty for that. I'm thriving
And
because I'm just so happy here on this island. And like, we're kind of doing exactly what this book talks about, which is inquiring within. And like, that's been the goal this whole last 2 weeks has been connecting
yeah,
with Earth and ourselves. And then questioning as well, like questioning if what we think is healthy, if our beliefs are, putting us on the path that we want to be. So it's been really cool. This book has actually helped me a lot. I was reading it yesterday because I was like, I just
thank
want to
you.
dive into it more. And yeah, oh my gosh,
You
I have,
know, I've been to Maui before, and the road to Hana is one of the most beautiful places that I've ever been in my life in
mm,
terms of the amount of lush nature. And so when you say that you're feeling the nature, you know, and that it grounds you and connects you, I know what you're saying because, you know, the nature in Maui, I mean, nature everywhere, but it's always fighting to reach the light. You know, you
mm,
see all of the plants twisting around each other and all of it, it's just a race to reach the light. It's a
exactly.
race for survival, but it's interconnected.
Yeah,
And,
nothing
you know,
cooperate.
people think you have to be like around other people to feel less alone, but like you can feel less alone by connecting with nature.
Exactly. I start to, because you know how like, oh, nature is the biggest teacher, and you kind of like know that in your gut. But the longer I'm here, the more I'm learning these like little like cheesy but real things. Like
Mm.
I was like sitting there meditating, and I was asking, okay, give me give me a new lesson, like from just staring at this scenery. Like what can I learn
Mm.
as a reflection of myself? And it was really windy that day, and so I was watching the trees get like fucking just blown
Mhm.
back and forth, and I was like, I need to be like a fucking tree. Just let that shit like blow me back and forth. I'll go with that. I'll flow with it.
Totally. I have a
Little
poem
things
in here
like that.
actually that says you can't argue with the weather.
Oh wait, can you? I want to hear it. Where is it? Do you have it
Yeah,
right
you know, I never do that poem. I would never even consider doing that poem on the live, but what I've noticed is that whatever comes up is what's supposed to be shared,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
rather than
he's
having
literally
some
my
sort of an
favorite poet
agenda.
in the entire world. Like, even if you're like, oh, poetry's not my thing, like, this is your thing. Because it's like a human thing what he does. Just saying.
Thank you. Okay,
Yeah.
let me find this piece. Okay. You can't argue with the weather. It just makes you look stupid. You can't convince a storm not to rain on your parade, but you can buy an umbrella. What you can't do is give the sun a guilt treatment for not showing up.
I try.
It doesn't work that way. You can't yell loud enough for the clouds to care. They're not here for you. You can't reason with a tornado because you're dizzy. You can't negotiate with an avalanche or judge lightning for striking twice. Once I saw a guy complaining to the stars because they weren't bright enough to light his path. I had to swallow my laughter. Why are you debating with the wind when you could just turn around and allow it to fill your sails?
Mm.
You can't argue with the weather. Trust me, I've tried. Most people don't change. I mean, they won't change. I mean, they can change, but usually they can't seem to change. I find it so strange. People just continue to repeat similar patterns like the consequences don't matter when they clearly do. What if God put a magnifying glass over you,
Mm.
over me, over everything we see? And this world is an experiment for your soul to survive separated from our infinite whole. I wouldn't know joy unless I knew pain. I'm looking for a new way to say the same old thing. They say the same old thing and then expect a different response. It's hard to explain. I guess your heart wants what it wants. I used to.
It blinked.
Now I know that I was wrong, so I write. Darkness is a form of light.
Oof.
I used to think that I was mad at you. I was really mad at me, but in retrospect, that's how it had to be. I used to think I knew some shit. Now I know I don't know shit. But at least I know enough shit to know I don't know shit. Shit. I'm a hitchhiking ghost trying to find his way home. Every mistake that I make, I put inside of a poem. She wants to change her man, but she's focused on her man. She should focus on herself, rearrange her mental health.
Mm.
He wants to change his girl, but he's focused on his girl. He should focus on himself, rearrange his mental health. We want to change the world, but we're focused on the world. We should focus on ourselves. Why do I repeat myself? Everybody's superpower doubles as their kryptonite. I think too much to sleep at night, but that's what makes me rip the mic.
When did you write that?
You know, first of all, thank you for listening.
Oh my gosh.
And it just reminded me of what you were talking about in terms of watching the, you know, trees in the wind.
Yeah.
Because they're not fighting the wind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not arguing with the weather. They're just moving. And because they have the flexibility to move, they don't break.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they would break if it was a strong enough wind. So I wrote that because I was talking about myself and how often I used to argue with reality.
I was literally doing that this week. It's for me, since I like growing up in California, it's really easy for my emotions to get affected by the weather, which I think is
Mm.
most people. But like coming to the island and it just being rain every day, it was like I was being more of a damper than the actual fucking rain because I would just
Mm.
sit there and like me, just like I don't want to fucking.
Man.
I'm on an island, and why does it feel like this? And I just want to get outside, and I can't because it's pouring, and I had to surrender. And at one point, I stopped, and I was like, all right, this is what it fucking is. So what the fuck am I supposed to do about it other than make the most of it? And like, might as well. So
Totally. I feel
yeah.
like everyone's going through that right now with what's happening in the world. I mean, first of all, it's a global moment, so
Mm-hmm.
everyone in the world is thinking about the pandemic, um, and we're all being forced to deal with the fact that we feel out of control.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that human beings like less than feeling out of control.
I know. I almost feel like it's amplifying what we kind of already felt, though. Like it's
Mm,
not, nothing's changed. Everything's just more amplified because we're not doing and moving around anymore. We're just kind of sitting with the reality as opposed to like running from it.
right.
It's been,
So in that moment that you realized you were going to stop, like, being affected by it in that way, did something trigger it? And then how did it change afterwards?
it triggered it because I was like, once again, like, feeling grateful is feeling fulfilled. And I always try to like remind myself that. And so it's like, they're
Mm,
right. There's like always a different perception. You could be looking at things. We know this, right? So, but it's harder when you're like in the shit cloud. You're like,
yeah, totally.
what? And then there's like that little higher self and you being like, you can make the most of it. And you're like, shut up. You don't want to talk to it. So after a while, it kind of just kept nagging at me. And then I started to see that I was affecting the people around me. And that's when it really hit me. I was like, no, 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 I can't do this. And so like got up, just started moving. And I think that's another thing that I've learned being here is we think meditation is stillness, and most of the time it is, and most of the time it can be, but like depending on who you are as a person and also just what you need in the moment. I found my meditation in so many different ways at this
Right.
point. I don't I don't contribute like just staying in bed or like laying down and having my eyes closed as meditation. Like sometimes that actually does the opposite for me. So like I've been dancing
Mm.
more. If I feel stuck, I'll like go outside and be like, ah! Like, and then all like Allie and Daniel will be like, ah, with me, and then I just hug them and I like go back into my room.
It's a mutual
Yeah, ah! And I feel like everyone feels that, but we're not like saying it. We're like, no, if I meditate, it'll go away. And I'm like, well, energy, like it also has to be released at the same time. So there's like an
Right.
even balance with it. And like energy is sound, it is movement. It's like it's all of those
Right.
vibrational things. So I've been slowly learning that being in a house, and like I'm really lucky we have so much beautiful nature around us, but like at the same time, like I mean, I think you have a poem actually that's like you can't get away from yourself. Like you can go all over the world. I mean, I one of
No matter where
the
you
poems,
go,
yeah,
there you are.
there you are. Yeah, I think I wrote somewhere I was like I've filled up passports running from myself, and like
Yeah.
that it kind of hurts, you know. But do you have a poem of that, or am I just making that up?
No, I definitely have it. I just don't remember specifically where that line. I mean, that
Where it
line is
is?
the same, but I definitely re-explore that in one of the poems specifically. But
Yeah,
like to your point, which is a great point, I mean, you don't have to meditate. You know, that meditation is one avenue, but
mhm,
anything that brings you into the moment can be a meditation. You know, so your dance can be a meditation, a conversation can be a meditation, even, you know, walking. That's why they talk about moving meditations, you
yeah,
know, or you know, monks when they wash the dishes, they're so present to what they're doing
yeah.
that anything, even a chore, can become a meditation.
And isn't that the goal, right? To kind of make life into a meditation. I mean, it's not always rainbows and butterflies, but that's the intention at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, if there was only rainbows and butterflies, you wouldn't even give a shit about rainbows and butterflies anymore, too. I mean, you need the comparison point to be able to appreciate life. I mean, for the people that have the luxury, the privilege to quarantine, because it is a luxury to
It's a
quarantine.
luxury. It's an absolute luxury.
You know, there's people who don't know where their next meal is going to come from. They don't know how they're going to keep the roof, you know, over their heads or their family. I mean, there's a lot of real pain and suffering out there. So it is a luxury to quarantine, and we acknowledge that. Um, but yeah, I mean, you know, getting a chance to go deep inside and to figure out whether or not you're living your best life and how to expand upon that right now is hopefully what everyone is deciding to do at this time.
Yeah.
Figuring out how they can live their own moving meditations on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm doing that with various degrees of success and failure, but I'm certainly trying.
What has been the ups and downs of this quarantining for you? Like, have you come to any real revelations, like in your own mind or process?
Yeah, look, I think it's interesting. Like, for me, I'm promoting my book right now.
Yeah,
And um, self-promotion in general has always been painful.
I know what you mean.
You know, like I've always had a really hard time putting myself out there like that. And it's bizarre that I make a living standing on stage, performing in front of people and sharing my heart and my art. But I'm really an introvert.
Yeah.
And so right now, more than ever, with everything that's happening in the world, and you're sensitive as well because you're an artist, you can feel the anxiety. You can
Yes.
feel the fear.
Yeah.
And it's coming from the outside and it's coming from the inside. And so it's very difficult to ignore that, you know, in order to promote my book. The only thing I'll say is that the book was medicine for me to write, and I hope that it's medicine for people to read. And I feel that it's separate from me. Like I have a line in the book where I say the art is more important than the artist is. And I
Mm,
really believe that. And I believe that once you create something, it's separate from you and it has a life of its own. And
mm,
so what I'm trying to do is do justice to the poetry that I've created over the last 20 years and hope that it brings some peace and inspiration to people during these uncertain times.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is medicine. Like your words have been medicine for me since I was 16 years old. It was when I first like heard your voice. And it was like it was the first time where I heard someone speak truth that I hadn't yet said to myself, but I felt deeply inside of me. I was like, I don't
Mm.
like it was like truth that I've been my heart has been dying to say, but I just didn't know how to say it. And we would, listen to you, we would dance to you,
Thank
and
you.
yeah, you were absolutely a part of my childhood growing up. So thank you for that, like in all aspects. And the more that, Allie would show me your things, it would hurt. Like you were one of the rare poets that I found, if not the only one, that like your words hurt my heart in such a beautiful way. It like opens it up. Like I feel my heart cracking open, and it reminds me. It's like a remembering um, of truth, of essentially of truth.
Thank you, Alexis. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
No,
I
it's
got a message from someone yesterday. Um, so the book is like one form, and of course, as you know, it has all these illustrations in it. But then also I recorded the audiobook. And the audiobook I'm really proud of because it's me reading my poems for 2.5 hours. And so
oh,
people have been hitting me up with all of these amazing messages that they've listened to the whole book in one sitting.
yeah. I
And
will do. I will do that.
well, I was hoping people would like take shrooms and just like listen to the
Yeah,
whole thing and trip out,
just go in, go
Yeah,
in.
just like have a invitation to the human experience. But
Yeah.
that one of the guys that reached out to me um, said he was like he's basically in the military, and he said he hadn't cried in like 20 years. And he said that he read one of the poems and started uncontrollably bawling. And
Wow.
and so I responded to him, and I've gotten a bunch of other messages about that as well. Like I have a piece about not having my father in the book. I didn't meet him until I was 15 years old, and we didn't have a relationship for the rest of my life, really. So I explore that, and I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say that there's a mirror, in their own life that allows them to feel less alone by reading that and hopefully provide some healing. And I think that's every artist's responsibility to tell their truth so that other people can see that even though the circumstances are different, the human story is the same,
It's the
and
same.
that we're all going through this together.
Yeah, exactly. I remember like during the poetry retreat that we did together, like that was probably that will be one of the most memorable times of my life because we got to see so many girls tell their story, and every single story I felt was part of my own, even
Mm.
though I hadn't like experienced their experiences. But like seeing them, I'll give you guys a brief of what that was. Basically, he had us sit down and be like, here's your intention for the poem. You have 20 minutes, let it flow. And then we'll have like one or two of the girls come up and like say their poem. And it was really beautiful and vulnerable because there was like 20 people in the group. So you're just standing there being like, oh my God, this is literally a part of my heart. Or you'd be like, oh, this is a
Mm.
shit poem. I don't want to read it out loud. And there's just like all these voices in your head. And a few of the girls, I did it like the last end of the retreat because I was so nervous. But a few of the
You
girls were like,
crushed it though.
I would go up and like just speak their fucking heart. Like it wasn't even words, it was just pure emotions. And like I just remember every time we would be like, how is that written in 20 minutes? How is like I didn't even know words could be said in that way. Like it was so like what you brought out in those girls was, I mean, not only are you an amazing poet, but you how you facilitate people in those scenarios
Thank
are
you.
like it's magic. It's actually magic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, the dance that you and Dakota did, that was magic too. They literally did a freestyle dance, and it was the most amazing dance I've ever seen in person in my entire life. People gave them a standing ovation. It was unfathomably good. It was like spiritual.
It
And
felt
I really mean that. I'm not buttering your bread. It was fucking spiritual. It was amazing. And everybody was blown away. And that group in general, this 5, 6 days that we were there, we became like a community really quickly, and then we became a family. And that in that closing circle, everyone was crying, me included.
everyone. I know.
And I won't say anybody's business, but there were some crazy moments of alchemy for people. Like,
Absolutely. Everyone had a moment, every single person. Like, yeah, oh my gosh. And like when Anthea was her Anthea,
yeah,
she like read that poem to us at the end. Oh, I
yeah,
still saved because it's so insane. I was like, how did she read this?
I know, I know. It was so crazy.
Yeah.
And it was such a great just trip too. We all just like vibed so well, and it was really special. We have to do another one of those.
No, we are. And it's what
Yeah.
gonna be in the DR, right? That's the plan.
Yes, yes, exactly.
But like
So what, go
I
ahead.
mean, you're so like, that's another thing. You want to give people the permission to use their talents in the way that you do. Like, I don't know many like artists in general that are like, here's stuff, here's like my time, here's my facilitation for you to create the art that like I've spent my life doing as well. Like that's such like a selfless and beautiful thing. Like you like cradled those girls to be able to like shine brighter. And because of that, you made like 20 or 22 amazing poets, like just by being like, it's okay to be you. Like it was so
Thank you.
crazy. Yeah.
You're a great poet too. And so I want to push you to share more gently, but I want to encourage you to share more of your work because you are an awesome writer and your voice is very powerful and your voice is needed and you inspire so many people. And so, the more, the better. My
Yeah.
feeling is that, some of the best art experiences I've ever had were as an audience member watching other poets on stage.
Mm.
When I started out at the Poetry Lounge in LA, that's a sacred space. It was like church without religion.
Mm-hmm.
And watching all of these amazing, amazing artists get on stage and share the human story through their specific voice
Mm-hmm.
always made me go back and want to express mine.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I feel like I've been given the keys to the castle. Poetry has been an outlet for alchemy in my life. I don't know who I would be without exploring my pain and my joy through my poems.
Yeah.
And so I just want to give other people the platform and the permission and the invitation to do the same.
I remember what you said on our first writing session we all did. You were like, if it's honest, it's poetry. And
Mm.
that like took all the pressure off. I was like,
Mm.
here we are, we're focusing on like a poem rhymes. It's like, no, the poem is just honest. Whatever you're feeling, whatever the intention brings out in you.
That's it. If you
Yeah.
intend it to be a poem, it's a poem.
Yeah.
And
And
if
I
you're
think
being honest,
it's
then
crazy.
it's a great poem.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
really as simple as that. It's like we overcomplicate it. Imagine like sitting down at a piece of paper and thinking, like if I wrote this book and I was like, I have to create something great right now.
It's
What
not,
a
you're not going to do it.
overwhelming amount of pressure. Like
Oh,
fuck that, dude. Like
no,
that's exhausting.
that's exhausting. Yeah, it's exactly what I wrote in my caption earlier because I was just like, you can't like the second you put pressure on that area in your creative life, like it's just not, it never works out. Like I've only written poems like my head just stops and I'm like, oh my God. And I just write it down so quickly that I don't even know what I'm saying. It's
Right.
just coming out and I'm just like, just writing. And then I don't even look at it for a little bit. And then I go back to it and I'm like, oh, wow. I didn't even know that was my truth until,
Totally. You're
um,
like rediscovering your own truth.
yeah. Yeah. I constantly rediscover myself in my writing. I'm like, oh, that's me. Oh, whoa. And then sometimes I'm like, ooh. Then sometimes I'm
Ooh,
like,
that's me.
oh.
You're like, ah, shit.
Whoa. Alexis, where were you? Where'd you go there?
And that's beautiful, by the way, because how boring would it be if we weren't constantly discovering ourselves.
Yeah.
You
Uh,
know, there's a lot of people just based on the fact that, you know, we grow up, we decide to do something, we get paid for that thing, you know, we become adults, and then we calcify and we stop growing.
mm-hmm,
But the
mm-hmm,
real beauty of life is in the adventure. It's in the
mm-hmm.
exploration and it's in the discovery of your ever-changing truth. It is an absolute miracle to be alive.
It's so crazy. Like, yeah, this is just, it's this whole quarantine, like having to be kind of in closed space. It's like, it's making me so grateful for the fact that we're even fucking here. Cause we
Yeah,
forget that. I'm like, this is a miracle. Like, I was staring at the stars the other day and I was like, how is this fucking real right now? How are we here? It's unbelievable. I'm like staring at stars and I was like, oh my God, like I have the same substance in those stars. It's actually in me as well.
totally.
And it's so, and then I'm like, oh, fucking magic does exist. Like, how could
Yeah.
we? Like,
It's God is the best artist.
I know.
Like,
Yeah.
shit is amazing around us, and we basically take it for granted 99.9% of the
90%.
time.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Exactly. And
know?
because it's almost too much to interpret all at once. Like, if I really sit and contemplate life, there's only so many, like, it's so beautiful and in such an overwhelming way that it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to actually process it and then live your life off of that process because it's just
Mm,
I think we're still in that consciousness where we'll go in and out of it. Like I'll like especially being inside like in one space, like 5 minutes I'm feeling like my higher self. I'm just like I can really do this, like I can really be of service to the world. And then not even 4 minutes later, I'm just like, Allie, I'm wasting space. Why am I wasting air? Like, how can I have when I'm this? You know, and I wrote briefly, I was like, I want to be a hero, but I need to be saved. And I think that's where a lot of people are right now. Like we all want to like be able to be heroes, be able to be of service to each other, but like until we inquire within, um, we won't be able to do that. We just won't. Um,
yeah,
and then
we have to be the hero that saves ourselves.
yeah, and then in return, we're taking like so much burden off of the people around us and ourselves because we're able to carry our own weight, and like that is being of service.
Yeah, I fully
It's,
agree.
it's a beautiful process that we're in right now. Like I really do feel like the world is evolving in a way that it's never before. And like we were at the dinner table last night and I was like, this is like one of the most exciting times to be alive. Like I fully and utterly believe that. Like we don't know what's going to happen next.
Mm,
Everyone has, you know, this amazing, we have the internet now. We have this amazing platform where we can just speak our truths and learn and
yeah,
grow and evolve. And we have all the information at the world at our fingertips. Like this wasn't here that long ago. This is all
yeah,
very new. And so I just like, I like to remind people, I'm like, this is new territory. Like you shouldn't know what the fuck you're doing right now.
yeah.
Like
And
I would be
that's
like,
why,
no,
by the
you're
way,
not.
the highs and the lows that you're talking about are normal.
Yeah.
Like everyone is experiencing it. So if you feel like you're alone in that, you're not.
Yeah.
Every single person is experiencing almost this like manic tug of war inside of themselves because everything that has given us our identity has pretty much been taken away.
Yeah.
And
And
so
then
we're
who are
forced to, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just saying then who are we if we're not our accomplishments and our labels and our, you know, like how many people are paying attention to us? Like who are we if we're not that? Like I
Exactly.
almost feel like fame itself is dissolving, like within this weird space that we're in.
Yeah, that's
Because
what I was trying to say earlier. Like when we started out, and watch, I'm gonna have to go over there to like plug in my phone even while we're on the live, which is fine. And that's the whole point. Is like, who gives a shit anymore?
no, like,
You know, like everyone's trying to like hold their ego together, you know, their mask, everything's perfect, and I want everyone to see me in a certain way. And I think it adds to this like hero worship culture. And that's one of the reasons that I loved when you shared your poem at the Bali retreat. because
Hollywood
when you
ones.
did, it was vulnerable.
Yeah.
It was, and it was vulnerable from a place of strength. And I think in
Mm-hmm.
our culture, what we do is we put people on pedestals
Mm-hmm.
and we say they're a hero or something like that. And in doing that, they become almost discouraging to us rather than encouraging. Like their
Yeah.
accomplishments aren't inspirational because we feel like they're better than us and we could never do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's dangerous. That's why when people come up to me, sorry, go ahead, what?
Oh, I just said it's disabilitating.
It is, yeah. That's why when people come up to me and they're like, oh, NQ, I love your writing. Like, I look up to you. I'm like, don't look up to me. Look at me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm.
exactly like you. I'm trying to figure it out on a day-to-day basis, and I'm doing my absolute best. My poems, I'm writing reminders to myself that I need to hear, and then I'm lucky enough to say them out loud or to put them in a book for a living so that I can remanifest the life that I want to live.
Mm.
And I think anybody who looks at me and is inspired by my work, I want them to feel like they can take those steps in their life, whether it's a small
Mm.
step or a big step. And
Mm.
so, to your initial point, which is such a great point, I hope that the illusion of fame and celebrity is starting to crumble because I think it is, that's your word, it's debilitating.
Mm-hmm. Because it's like like comparison is literally the death of creativity. It's like it's just death in my opinion. Like I hate that it's so easy to compare in this world because all of our egos are like, but look at me and look what I'm doing. And like that's
Yeah.
why I honor pain so much because I think it's where we create our deepest connections. Like when I'm like I was going through a really hard time a month ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to Sundance Film Festival, and my friend was like, "Come, we have this amazing family, and like you'll love them." And I was just in a really emotional place, and while on the plane, I was like, "I'm not gonna pretend I'm okay. Like I know
Right.
that I don't know these people, but like I know that if I'm authentic in each moment, and of course still respectful, but if I'm just like, I am actually like, I feel like shit right now. I'm like, I just met this girl and she like, we ended up like going into the room and talking and she just opened her heart up and we both
Mm-hmm.
started crying and like, she's now one of my best friends. And it's like,
It's
it can
beautiful.
be that easy. Connection can be that simple and beautiful and trustworthy. Like it doesn't take, like, yes, me and Ali, we've been friends for 13 years now. But that's not why our connection is what it is. Like we had that connection when we first met. It's just been more consistent. Um, and so once again, like connection is connection, you
Yeah.
know?
I'm looking, I have to plug my phone in, but I want to say something based on what you just said.
Yeah.
Um, it takes so much effort and energy to hide.
Yeah. Oh, it's exhausting.
It is so exhausting and it's just such a waste of our power,
Yeah.
So I think to your point, like when you can just be vulnerable with someone and be open and real,
Yeah.
it's a fast track to that intimacy and that
Mhm.
friendship that you're talking about.
Yeah. That
And by the way, if you're vulnerable with someone and they don't respond well, they're probably a fucking asshole. And then you don't have to hang out with them anymore.
I know. That's what freedom is about. And it has nothing to do with like, right, rejection, for instance, like being an actress and like constantly going and auditioning and all of that process, like rejection is it's a part of it. And
Right.
because I'm so used to that rejection, like rejection when I'm trying to connect, I don't take it personally either.
Hmm.
I'm just like, all right, I'm just not like I'm not that energy that you're looking for right now. That's cool. Like that doesn't disregard me as an energetic field. Like I'm still
Right.
gonna just like float over here and like see who else wants to connect. Like you're just kind of this like
Totally.
energetic little orbs just kind of going around being like, do you want to connect? And then we like charge each other and then you leave. Like that's another thing I'm really starting to notice how I feel after each conversation with a person that I have because I'm like
Yeah, yeah.
we are like little iPhone chargers for each other. You shouldn't feel drained after a conversation. You should feel energized and excited and like moved and it doesn't and that's another thing. I'm like it doesn't make the person bad. Like
Right.
if you feel you know, drained after them. Like it's not black and white. There's no villains. Like it's that's another thing that I hope Hollywood can do. And I think they started to do that with like Joker and like even with the show Euphoria. I don't know if you've seen those, but
I saw
they
Joker. What was the second one?
yeah, Euphoria.
Oh,
So
Euphoria.
like
Yeah,
one
the
of the
show. I
things,
saw it. Yeah, it's a great
yeah,
show.
it's a great show because what did they do, right? They take these people who seemingly aren't making good decisions or they're being like a bad person, but then you see their life story and you have all of this empathy for them and you're like,
Right.
I understand you on a deeper level. They did that with Joker as well. And so it's like it's having that empathy for the people who you don't connect with at all, you know, like it's and that's another thing, it's like to continue to choose love even when you get that rejection, like that I think is like the
Mm,
true test in this, you know, game of compassion and love. And that's when that's when I really feel like I've earned credits with myself because I'm like,
mm.
oh my god, like you chose love, oh, I remember in our live with Ali you were like, that's a poem.
That's right. I told you to
I
start a
wrote it.
poem that way.
I wrote it.
You did? You wrote it? Do
Yeah,
you have it?
no, I can't read it. It's so vulnerable, but like I'll read it to you later, and
Okay.
then
All
maybe
right.
I'll put
Cool.
it on a live. But like,
All right. Cool.
yeah,
I agree with you. I think this is just like a compassion video game. You know,
yeah,
life is just like one giant love video game, and when you love, you win.
exactly,
But you
exactly, and
can't
it's
you
like,
can't fake it. You know, it has to be real.
yeah, it has to
Um,
be, it
yeah.
has to be
And
real.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just repeating that.
Yeah, it's got to be real, and it's got to. You got to realize that if we're all just, as you said, basically like a sea of consciousness and vibrating energy,
There's
then if
different
you
levels
change
of
your
it.
frequency, you will change what you're attracting, and you will change what you're attracted to.
Exactly,
And so if you hit up with somebody and you realize, no, this isn't for me, it doesn't have to make them bad. You can
exactly.
just go somewhere else.
That's the narrative that I really want to change in this world because that is an open door for more empathy. Because
Mm,
it's like I just I don't like I don't ever want to feel like anyone's a villain nor a victim because I think it's like there's always a life energy exchange whenever you connect with someone. And my mom used to tell me it's always 50-50
mm,
because it has to be 50-50 in order for there to be a connection. And so I always look at that, like when a person comes into my life and then they leave unexpectedly or
mhm.
whatever it is, I'm like, okay, what did I need to reflect? What did I need to learn in that situation? Like, what was the pattern that I continuously repeat? Like, it's a wake up call. Ali, Ali's boyfriend Daniel, he wrote this one lyric that is so beautiful. I'm going to try and remember it, but he said, when you're crying and he calls you to break up, maybe it's God telling you to wake up.
Mm,
And it's just so beautiful. And whether it's like a relationship or a friendship or family, it's like maybe that's just a simple wake up, you know, because maybe you weren't necessarily happy either. I think so much of us we want like stability and safety
mm.
as opposed, but we're not actually like fulfilled in that. But like that's more um like we haven't come to terms with the fact that life is unstable and it's insecure, and like within that understanding we'll find security as opposed to like just looking for security.
Totally. It's like you're trying to control something that is out of control. This
Mm-hmm.
is Mother Nature maybe doing that to us right now, shaking
Absolutely,
us and waking us,
absolutely,
you
absolutely.
know?
And it's like it's a surrender. It's a constant surrender. Every day I surrender. Every moment I surrender.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
I
it's nice.
really want.
It's nice to surrender with you. It's nice to be
Oh,
doing this live with you. I so appreciate you sharing me with your amazing
mm,
community, and thank you everyone for
of
watching
course.
this and for all the hearts and the comments and all
I
of that.
want you to read one more poem because I've been dying to hear
Yeah.
it.
You want me to do
Um,
85?
can we do a plea to save our planet? That's like my
Oh
favorite.
yeah, absolutely.
That's my favorite. You guys listen on this. It hits my heart.
Okay. I want to say
Yeah.
just real quick before I do this poem that there is going to be an end to this to everyone who's listening. You know, they will find a vaccine. no matter what pain and suffering people go through in this
Yeah.
time, which will be very difficult, there will be an end to it. It is not an existential threat.
Mm-mm.
And if we fall asleep again to how we are living as individuals and as a collective, we're going to wake up to the existential threat of climate change.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be too late at that point if we
Mm-hmm.
wait another 20 years.
Mm.
So this is called One Little Dot. And yeah, it's an opportunity. Yeah. How can something this big be invisible? The environment is everywhere, and yet it isn't visible. Maybe if we saw it, we would see it's not invincible and have to take responsibility as individuals. How can something this big be invisible? If it's all around us, it should show itself on pure principle. The scientists are certain that the damage is residual and climate change data is reaching levels that are critical, yet somehow that's political. We argue over math. Our citizens are too cynical to believe in facts. We make excuses and hold on to the recent past. We don't want to sacrifice, so we refuse to ask. I grew up in a city. It's all I ever knew. So even now, I have nothing to compare it to. I have to hit the park to see more than a tree or two. I have to visit nature like it's in a zoo. But California was wild before the parking lots, before the mass malls, before designer shops, before the strip clubs, before the sea change, when mountain lions roam freely over freeways, before the fast food, before the freeze frames. We live around a bunch of dead shit these days. It's not an argument for better or worse. It's an observation on how we've been treating Mother Earth. And we always seem to mistreat the ones we love first. We protect what is ours. My land, my life, my house, my kids, my job, my wife, my dog, my car, my country, my culture. But when it comes to nature, our perspective is external. It's the planet, the forest, the ocean, the sky, the mountains, the valleys, always the. Never mind if it's not me, never mind. I'm too busy all the time. And without the ownership, we ignore the warning signs. Just look at all the species on the planet that are dying. The coral reefs, the honeybees, mysteriously dying. 1/4 of all the mammals that exist are dying. 1/3 of all amphibians are at the risk of dying. We're on a path to mass extinction. It's almost like we're trying because we're relying on an atmosphere that we've been frying. I could use more statistics, but you probably think I'm lying because over half the politicians we elect deny them. Well, since when did their opinions outweigh the science? I thought it's fundamentally unbiased. Capitalism uses nature as its example and excuse for competition. The only problem is we've removed it from the ecosystem. Profit and balance in the market are attainable, but growth without a conscience is completely unsustainable. I mean, a lion doesn't kill all the gazelles. Why do we have to have it all to ourselves? Pretty soon, there'll be nothing left but concrete and cars. And when you see an animal, it'll be like seeing a movie star. The planet, the forest, the ocean, the skies, the mountains, the valleys, always the. Never mind if it's not me, never mind. I'm too busy all the time. And without the ownership, we ignore the warning signs. Our planet, our forest, our ocean, our skies, our mountains, our valleys, always we, always mine, my planet, my forest, my ocean, my skies, my mountains, my valleys, always we, always mine, always ours, always yours. One little dot in trillions of stars. One little dot. It's all that we've got. We just forgot that none of it's ours. We just forgot that all of it's ours. One little dot in trillions of stars.
I would clap, but I only have one hand. Oh, that one is so good.
Thank you, man. I
Thank you.
appreciate you listening.
Yeah,
And thank you
guys.
for everyone, by the way, who is listening to the poem. I really, really appreciate it. You know, if you loved it, if you hated it, I don't care. I still love you. And I hope you're doing well wherever you are.
Yeah, guys, and please make sure to get a copy of his book. It's
I love you. I literally didn't hear anything that you said, but whatever you said, I'm so grateful for it. Literally, the sound went out completely. You were like, get his book because I. And I was like, I was just nodding. I was like, that's all.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, that was bad. I was just saying that like this is an amazing time to read this book. It's gonna hit harder because of the position we're in. We're all feeling a little more sensitive, a little more open to what's going on in the world. So this is it. Like this, you're an open door, you're an open heart. So like just take these kinds of words in because it's what's gonna really like reprogram us, and that's what we need right now.
Thank you. I love you, Alexis. You're
Yeah.
such an amazing, generous human being. You are a light in this world. I acknowledge you, I honor you, and I appreciate you.
All right. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, bye, guys. Have an amazing day.
Later, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks.